guys, it's great to have you back on board again for another episode of Offshore Adventures. If you're new to the channel, I'm Nikki.
And I'm Bob.
And thank you to all of our new subscribers. Bob's going to be talking through what we're going to be doing today.
Yes, since we did our walkthrough of the boat, a few of you spotted the tender that we use, the little dinghy, and also the outboard that we use, and have asked some questions about that, and indeed have asked for some footage of both. So the tender is a 3D Superlight round, a 2.5 metre one, and the little outboard that we use is an electric Torqeedo. It's the Torqeedo Travel 1103 CS. And so today we're going to go up to Lawrenny, pick up a mooring buoy, and hopefully get the dinghy and the electric outboard set up so you can have a look at how the two work. First and foremost though, I'll give you a quick walk through the Torqeedo and the dinghy before we launch it. So, as you'll no doubt remember from our walkthrough film, the Torqeedo and all the 3D dinghy we store in the lazarette. So I've dragged the Torqeedo out just to show you the initial view of how the bags and how it stows in the lazarette there. First question I asked when I was looking at trying to acquire the Torqeedo was, and you will no doubt have seen that on the website, it talks about the bag system that goes with it, and they offer it, and it's not cheap. So I was sort of immediately wondering whether it's worth that investment. It was about 170 odd GBP pounds, and so it does sound expensive for what is in effect a couple of bags, but, and there is a but to it, I think it's money well spent because they are very well set out, very well padded. Good handle system on them, shoulder strap system on the heavier one, which is this one here, the battery bag, with a shoulder strap there and or the carrying handle, and similarly on this side a carrying handle here, extra zip pocket here where they store, or where we store, a pin for locking the engine, which I'll electric engine, which I'll show you about later. Show you how that works later. This is a magnetic kill switch which you need to operate the motor. Again, we'll look at that once we're out on the water, but just for purposes of the bag itself, if we just unzip it here, I can show you how it allows you to stow the Torqeedo itself. So this one is the Torqeedo 1103 Travel. It's the CS, which is there's an S or an L. A CS or a CL just refers to a short or a longer shaft on the actual that hangs off the transom. 1103 Travel CS is this one, and straight away you can see in the bag here, all of this is padded. It's about 20 odd mil padding. Really heavy duty zips as well, excellent quality. And then this, obviously this bit here opens up and allows you to just then join both handles together, just in the usual Velcro style joining of handles. Yes, fitted in once you're in the bag with these little quick release straps, one coming diagonally across there, one round there, which are of course both very easy to just tighten up once you've refitted, and then the again the diagonal strap there, which is really easy to secure and then tighten up. So yeah, a really good little a very good little stowage system. But then additionally inside, again, really good padding all down the base here, along the sides, both sides, very well padded. And then the tiller handle, which is this here, that's also got its own section that they've created in the bag, Velcro, which wraps around the main body of the tiller. And then also additionally there's a little Velcro strap there which holds the actual handle of the tiller. So that's the main bag as such. we'll pop that out there, have a look at that in a sec. And then the battery bag, that's again similar sort of padding system, similar heavy duty zips, very well padded. Got an additional little storage pocket here, which we keep obviously the charging cabling system in, but it's also got another zippable little storage pouch here, which you can just see there, that white thing there, that's our UK standard DC, sorry, AC I should say, plug, which carries the charging lead for charging either or for charging at home. If we've used it for the day, we take it home and just plug it into the plug it obviously into the mains. Spare cable provided for obviously alternative plug systems, perhaps outside the UK. That was also provided. That's a small USB charger that actually fits in to the plugs here, and it allows you to charge a phone or similar, 1 amp flow, and allows you to use the engine itself when it's on to actually charge a phone or an iPad or similar, something like that, or Android, I'm sure, once or while I should say you're out on the water. Just gives you perhaps a bit more scope there. And then additionally, which this bit was an extra, or an extra option if you like, at a slightly it wasn't that too expensive, but what it allows is that's obviously for our 12-volt socket on the boat, and that goes into the battery. So that's your alternative if you're out on the water but the boat is running. It obviously gives you an ability to charge up the battery or to top it up while you're on the move from the boat's system. So those are the bag systems, charging cable in there, which we'll just drag out quickly. And that's the other piece that obviously goes with the mains there, that into the end there, and then obviously back into the battery here. And then additionally there's also another little pouches and pockets down the side here. This is a device for locking the battery once you've got the battery in place on the body of the motor here. It then allows you to insert this, which locks the battery and prevents it accidentally coming off. So all these little cubbies and pouches and zippables, all padded, really well thought out to be fair, and in terms of making the whole lot transportable easily, and indeed stowing easily, because this when it's down in our lazarette stays dry and well protected. So that's your first one. Do you want the bags? My view would be yes, they are worth the investment. So that's it unbagged. Good comprehensive set of instructions as you'd expect. Then this is your tiller arm with the cable that then attaches into the main battery there. That's your power cable, which is this one that comes from the motor, screws into them. They've all got these screwable sleeves on them. And then this one here, that's your charging point, or where you screw in the USB socket that I showed you a moment ago. When it's charging, it flashes at you, simple as that, and when it's finished and fully charged, the light remains on. In terms of weight, this battery unit is 6 kilos, and then this unit, which is probably the heavier part in terms of carrying it around, comes in at 10.5 kilos total. Just about all of it, any sort of moving parts on it are replaceable, and in the manual there it's got a full list of exactly what the parts are if you needed them, how to replace them, anything from replacing a damaged prop to any other part of the assembly. any pins or bits that might end up in the drink, how to replace them. So it looks, not that I've had to use any of their support systems yet, touch wood, but looks like it's a very comprehensive service that they provide. So the 3 pieces, the all-important locking pin as well to keep the battery in place, the 3 pieces to get you going. So the motor assembly in effect has a few other features on it. Obviously these are straightforwardly the 2 fixings that hold onto the transom of your tender dinghy and allows the fixing securely. It's then got just here you can just see the 4 different positions in terms of trim, so you can pop these pins out once you've worked out where it sits best on your dinghy, your tender, and fit this into one of the 4 different positions there to get the optimal position for the loading and movement of the tender. This lever here, this is either, which at the moment is in the locked position, so I can't move this at all, but if I lift this up, that lever up, what it allows there, as you can see straight away, is it allows in effect when that's obviously fitted to your transom, that then acts as your tilt. So obviously for demonstration purposes we've just got the motor sat on the floor of the boat here, but in effect with this in this position, the motor itself, the shaft of the motor, would be almost up at horizontal. So as you come into shore, to lift it out of the water, and this little mechanism here, that actually locks it in place so it stays in. And round the other side here you've got a lever here, and when it's time to lower the engine back down into the water, you merely take the strain off it, take the weight off it, hold this little lever up, and it allows the engine to fold again. So if I can do that one-handed, there we go. So that's just lifted the lever up, and there you can see it just coming back down and clicking into place. So that's with this in the raised position. With it in the lower position like that, it obviously prevents you from tilting the engine. It may be desirable to have it in that position. Perhaps if you're towing your dinghy, they additionally have, you can just see there's a small place for a small pin which they provide, which is this tiny piece here. Slides in to that little spot there, and what that does in effect, therefore that's now locked it so you can't steer it from the tiller, but what it means is obviously the assembly that might be in the water is now fixed in position, so if you were towing it you wouldn't have it swerving all over the place. It keeps it in that tow position, if you like. So that's that little pin there. And then obviously the final and essential part is the kill switch that they provide. One end to obviously be clipped onto yourself, life vest, whatever you care to clip it to, and then the other bit fits in the little recess here, goes in there, and it's as simple as that. It's magnetic, holds it in place, so obviously the slightest problem, or if God forbid you were to disappear over the side, then obviously you take the kill cord with you with the greatest of ease and the boat will stop. Show you a bit more detail of that. This is about a year old now. It's had a number of uses, but the structure is so well made, such good metal, and it's kept it almost like the day we bought the thing about a year ago, in really good nick. On the back there you see the plates, shows you the weight, and some more safety information that they put on there. And similarly on the battery there you get the information there for you. The other use of this lever is that obviously in the down position it's locked, as we just said, but in that up position not only does it allow you to tilt the engine perhaps when you're coming into the beach to lift it clear of the shallow water, but it also, if you leave it, and you can leave it in this upward position, what of course it allows is if you hit anything in shallow water, whether it be the seabed, a rock or whatever, it allows the engine to then tilt backwards like that, to therefore reduce the likely damage that may result, you know, as a result of hitting whatever you've been unfortunate enough to hit. So it's just allows the shaft of the engine to spring backwards on impact and perhaps just lessen any damage ultimately that may result. We of course therefore, while pottering around, do keep it in that upward position, because we obviously use it quite regularly for going into the beaches. But what it does say is if you obviously want to engage or use the motor to reverse, then you have to relock it by dropping that down, which then allows obviously the prop to do its job, to push the boat backwards, so you can't reverse, or indeed you can't stop quickly if you've got this in the unlocked position, because it needs that bracing. The shaft needs that bracing to be able to react when you engage reverse. So yeah, a useful little feature that, and another way to protect the all-important area down there, albeit these parts are, as we've said already, are replaceable. There's a good section in the manual itself with the technical data about the engine itself and the battery. Key things perhaps is that in terms of a comparison with an outboard engine, this one is rated as similar to a 3 horsepower petrol engine, similar power, propulsive power, and they also say that this particular one, this 1103, is suitable for craft, for boats with a total weight up to 1.5 tons. So it's some good pushing power there for such, as you'll see a bit later on when we're running it, a dead quiet, zero noise, good little bit of kit. And similarly, you've got a complete list there of your error messages. Should you get any, they come up on this this LED display, which gives you lots of information. Nice clear display, visible in any sort of sunlight or similar. Any error messages you may get, and finally, as I touched on before, so it's a bit in the sunlight there, those are just the all the potential spares you might need, and or any extras you might consider buying with your engine, including the part numbers for the bags that we've talked about already. So what we'll try and do is, before we actually get it in the water, just try and show you how the bits go together, how straightforward it is. The first bit you put on once you, of course, have got your tender sorted out, is this obviously whole unit, fits to your transom, fixed in nice and tight. Make sure it's not moving around at all, and once you've got that fitted to the transom, which you'll see a bit later on in the film, then the next bit that's fitted is the tiller unit. So that's as simple as these little guides here. They slide into the into these grooves here vertically to start with, and then you just lower the tiller into position, so just on a slight angle there, and then down it goes, and there's the tiller fitted and locked in place. And then last but by no means least comes the battery, and then the battery similarly just comes in vertically. It's got two little guides each side of it, in vertically, and then once it's into its slots on each side there, you just lower it down into position, and again that's it's as simple as that. That's now fixed in position, and then you obviously insert then the key that we talked about, which is this little slot just here, and it just slides into there, pushes home into this little slot beneath it, and then that has now completely locked the battery in place so you can't get it off. So no additional screws to secure, nothing to bolt on. It is as simple as those 3 positions, in from the vertical for the tiller and laid down there, battery in vertically laid down there, and just locked in place with that pin. Couldn't be. So that's the motor cable done first. It just reminds you there to connect that motor first and disconnect last, a bit like your shore power system on a lot of the Jeanneaus. And then this and then the tiller cable again just lined up with its plug, and then the sleeve is screwed down so it's firm, and we're connected there. And then what we should get is a press and hold for the power, and you can just see it starting to power up there. As initial setup, on these displays here you've got options to decide whether you want it shown in percentage. Here you've got, if we go into setup, you'll see that we've got options to have either nautical miles, which we run in, or kilometers or miles, and then if you press it again it gives you an option to change miles per hour, kilometers per hour, or knots to be displayed, and there, as I say, gives you the option to change that display as to how your remaining battery power or your battery used power is displayed. And one final press and you're back to the main screen, and it's ready to go in effect. Okay, so that's a look at it dry land, if you like, how easy it goes together, and the bagging system. So next point hopefully will be us getting it fitted to the 3D 2.5 meter 3D tender that we use, and you'll be able to see it in operation, and then a bit more information that will appear once we're underway. So, and as we potter up the Cleddau to where we'll probably grab a mooring buoy, and where we'll launch the little 3D dinghy from. A lot more boats out now, all coming back in for hopefully a season full of sunshine and good winds for these things. From little ones to big boats, yachts, cabin cruisers. I bet they're all looking forward to getting back out on this lovely stretch of water. And there, just in the middle there, you see Rudder's boatyard tucked away. I reckon we're going to get a bit more sun this afternoon, so we're very much hoping for that, so that we can do a bit of pottering about and show you the dinghy and the Torqueedo. Nicky in prime position. Surprising amount of boats he manages to squeeze into there, going right back there into the trees. What a fabulous spot. So onto the 3D Superlight round tail tender. As I say, the 2.5 one comes in its own little bag, which in effect it's got a shoulder carry strap, but it's also got on the back here a couple of rucksack type handles, so you can wear it as a large rucksack. Size wise, height there is 700mm, and then it's about 45 centimeters wide, so 450mm wide, 700mm high. And the key thing, which was its weight for us, is that it's only 12.2 kilos. We had it, we originally bought it when we had the 795 and didn't have the storage capability of the lazarette down here, so we made a roof rack on the 795. So we wanted something that was relatively easy to stow up on the roof while we were underway, and then when we got to wherever we were going to use it, we could then haul it off the roof easy. Hence the very useful lightweight. We use, for inflation purposes, we use the a little Sevilor product, 12 volt product. It comes with complete with all the different valve endings, depending on what you're trying to inflate, from kayaks to this thing. And the beauty being, of course, with the 12 volt socket and the one that we had added at the rear of the boat here, just up here, allows us to then inflate the dinghy almost in situ, and then the idea being that we're out through the gate there, or pin the gate back, launch off the back swim platform, and then fit the Torqueedo once the boat is in the water. I'll show you that in a sec. So the dinghy's in the rucksack then, and then what we keep under this rear bench seat in the 895 is the oars, which come in 4 pieces. The mount at the rear of the tender, the dinghy, for the engine, the transom mount that you clamp the Torqueedo to, and then finally this seat that slides in once you've got the dinghy inflated, slides in and provides the seating. And then once we pop the clips on the front here, these quick release clips, there it is, just folded up inside. As I say, the very lightweight, only 12 kilos, so really easy to stow and to handle. So once unrolled, just about fits in the back here, but once it starts inflating, it actually gets easier to maneuver around and handle. It's got three inflation areas, 2 on each side here for the front and rear chambers, and then the third one, which is under there, is for the floor. The floor goes to 0.5 bar pressure wise, and these 2 side ones, they go to 0.25 bar total pressure. So let's get it connected up. So the Sevilor just allows you to set the bar scale there, the pressure, and what I do, or what it's recommended you do, is to inflate each of the 3 chambers just sort of halfway, or to get them going as it were, and then keep going round to then top up to the required pressure. So this one, we'll set this at 0.2. I'm starting with the floor, so that's 0.5 in total that'll go to. So I'll set it at 0.2, which we've got there, and then we just press the red button. And there, when it gets to that slightly reduced pressure, then it just cuts out, and then it's on to the other 2 chambers to start getting the sides inflated. And then once all 3 of the chambers, the base and then these two ones at the side there. Once they're all inflated, then it's merely a case of fitting these securing plugs, which twist shut and seal the unit. So that's all now inflated, ready to go. See the two bits on the top there, that's for that transom plate that's down here, this piece here. So and then it's probably easier, and what we sometimes do, or what we'll do today, is we actually fit the oars and the bench seat while it's just in this position, just before we lob it over the side, as it were. So the seat slides on these, you have to feed the seat in from the start point here, or indeed from the other end up there, and then slide it once it's gone into these. You can just see the groove under there that you've got to get it fed into, and then once it's into those grooves you just slide it back and forward to suit who wants to sit where. Aluminium made, so obviously rust free, despite the good old salt water we're in. And then the oars, they have this piece on the end here just to protect the fabric of the 3D tender. So once you've taken that off, then on each of the oars there's a single hole there as part of the setup, which slides through. You can then put your put the little cap back on, and they provide a little bit of velcro up there, which just allows you then to secure it in place. So there's your oars, simple and straightforward fitting. So that's all oars fitted, seat fitted, and then as you can see there, just as part of the structure that it comes with, it's got these ropes with three points of contact there, which is useful for lifting or whatever. And then attached right at the front here, you can see it comes with a little piece of line for tying off on. So that's the engine fitted, tightened up on there nice and firmly, and then the tiller, you remember, that's just almost a vertical, but just off the vertical, slides into those notches down there, and that's ready to go. Time for the battery. And then finally, third bit, battery again, that's vertical, comes in vertical to the little grooves here. As soon as it's there, it just takes down with its own weight. You remember it's about 6 kilos. And that's job done. The motor cable is the one in the center here. That's obviously the one that gets connected first, and then after that, then it's the tiller. This one obviously is obsolete for the moment. That's our charging port, or as you'll remember, the place where you can pop a USB charger if you're going to be out for a while in the Torqueedo. But our tried and tested sort of method over the times that we've had this, about a year now, is really exactly where I'm sat at the moment, sat on the edge of the swim platform. Allows you to stick the end of the dinghy sort of out at right angles almost, and it means that when you're handling the engine, which is sort of 10, as we know, 10 kilos for that, or then 6 kilos for the battery, then it means you've got it nice and close to you, so there's no stretching or whatever, and easy to work with and get mounted to the transom plate on the back here. And that plate obviously has the two these two bits here, but it also, just down there, you'll just see down here, it's got those two of those that it slides into as well. and this bit here is obviously a sort of nylon plastic type. You can see the thickness there, it's nearly 50, perhaps more than 50 mil thick, so it's quite a heavy piece of kit, and more than substantial to take the overall weight, which as we know is round about just under 17 kilos. So let's get connected up. So that's the motor one done, with these little rotating sleeves that you just make sure you get your pins in the right position. There's a tiny little groove in the end of the plug there, which fits right at the top here into the receiving socket, and then once in position, just tighten up the sleeve there. That's that. And then what we should hopefully get is, yep, you can just see that. Just press the power button here, press and hold the power button, and then you can see the LED display has just started to flash up there to show the first and foremost the good thing. We've got 100% power, we're all connected right, and all we need obviously is the magnetic kill switch, which once we're in the boat we can attach to ourselves, and off we go. So a relatively straightforward process. Obviously the 2.5 meters of the dinghy itself just about fits, as you saw as we were inflating it at the back there in the cockpit area, but because it's so light, it's just dead easy to shunt around and to balance and to move around and get over the side once it's inflated, and really easy to handle, which has proved to be a real benefit in terms of managing it in a smallish craft that we are, as opposed to some of the big yachts that have plenty of space perhaps to stow these. Obviously that final bit strapped to me, and then just a straightforward little magnetic attachment there, and then we should, when we turn the throttle very slightly, yep, we've got some movement there. So all ready to go. Thank you very much.
Have fun.
Back in a minute.
You'll notice there's no noise. It's incredible. No engine noise. And it's a nifty little thing. Already Bob's got some distance from us. Speed. Great little thing. And Bob's going to come back now so I can get on board as well. Skills, but I'm not going to jump from here onto that.
Oh my God.
You need to get a bit closer.
So we're just underway now. Very gentle, as you can see on the display there. It tells us that at this speed we'd have about 38 nautical miles in the battery, although going up there to 40. We're actually against the tide at the moment, so that's a fair old distance, and we're just pottering on about 1.6 knots using 36 watts, as you see there. Battery's still showing 100%. So range 38 nautical miles, 1.6 knots, and those are your information displays.
No.
It's actually where Nikki is at the moment. It's a very comfy spot.
Oh, you can sit up top.
Yes, or you can sit up on the bow of the boat, especially with a Superlight person like me on the other end. There's enough for several probably at Nikki's end. But of course 1.6 knots, close up to the engine. If we just increase the speed a little bit, and you can see there, or should I say hear there, or not hear there, that the only sound we're getting is the water going past the boat. So we're at 2.2 knots. At 2.2 knots we'd have a range of another 16 nautical miles on this charge. But you see it's still not budged off 100%. So in the distance there, just about see Resi in the distance. So you can see, you remember I talked about this catch under here. We've obviously got that in the unlock position, so if you see that, if you were to hit anything under the water, then it would merely knock the shaft of the engine backwards rather than keeping the shaft locked in place and potentially causing more damage if you were to hit something shallow. So often as we're coming in towards the shallower parts, then I'll just unlock that in case you touch something on the bottom of the seabed. And then what it also allows, of course, as you'll remember as well, it allows us to tilt the engine up. So first and foremost, we'll just whip out the magnet there, so we no risk of the propeller firing up accidentally. And then what I do to tilt the engine, because obviously you've got the length of the tiller here, which would obviously head down towards the base of the boat. I turn it on full lock across, and then just grab the back of the engine and just tilt the whole thing up. Like that. And there you see we're obviously still in, but you can see how far up it allows you to tilt the engine as well. So there it is on its transom mount here, full turn, which stops your tiller snagging on the boat, and that's how much clearance you get then at the back. So it lifts it in effect higher than the base of the boat, so hence it's really handy. And just dragging up onto a sandy beach, as you get to the shallow, hop out, drag it up onto the sand, and you're not snagging the prop as you bring it up onto the sand itself, onto the beach, ready for your barbecue, of course. It's the 17th of May, and therefore that magic day in Wales, as the sun shines even brighter, when pubs are reopening indoors and various other things are reopening indoors. So it'd be rude not to disappear up this pontoon and go and see if we can grab a cheeky pint. See you shortly. And then before we leave it, I'll just press and hold the power button, and you can see the display goes black there as we cut the power. A very relaxed Nikki, enjoying the potter about on the dinghy. Sun's out, we're right back down the right back down there towards the boatyard. We're pottering along at 2.5 knots here. In all that time as well that we've been pottering about through lunchtime and that, we've dropped to 94% battery. We're against the tide still, so we've got about 16-mile range. I suspect, of course, as soon as we turn round, we'll get some extra range with the assistance from the tide. And if we throttle down a little bit, so we're just down at showing about 1.5 knots now, you get just about zero noise. Certainly don't get anything from the engine here. Responsive with we can drop that lock on at the side, which locks the engine in place, and then if we engage reverse, see, we actually start moving back quite quickly. And then back into forward again. There we are, pottering along about 5 knots now. Probably not much more in the ability of the Torqeedo, but certainly 5 knots is more than enough to get you pottering around back to shore and the beach. And then it's so light that once we're back, give a quick swill off. If you see water, we've given the engine a bit of a swill off, quick swill off with the shower unit at the back here, and then we'll try and pop it onto the roof to dry off as we head back. And that's it. Sitting up on the roof there. I know one or two of you have asked about how it fits on the roof here. So just going up to the radar reflector at the back there, just staying in front of that. Sup rack, stand-up paddleboard rack, which allows easy fixing of the bungee cords. Normally use 4 on the dinghy to keep it down, and obviously if you're intending to go up onto planing speed, then I'd probably put an extra 1 or 2 at the front as well, purely because of that wind force at the front. But that gives you a good idea there of how it sits on there. So it's had a swill off, freshwater swill off, and then by the time we get a few miles back down the Cleddau Estuary, it'll be dry and ready to deflate, roll up, and back into its rucksack and into the lazarette. use the steel loops that are part of the 3D dinghy there, just to drop the bungee cords on. Perfectly made for it, in fact. So all our bits out the back, ready for, had their swill off, bit of a clean down, and then ready for restowing. So we were pottering about, I guess, in total, to and fro to the pub up the estuary, probably for a couple of hours. The power, right, incidentally, I didn't show you that at the end, but the power dropped down to 87% battery life, and at the sort of 2.5 knots that generally we were pottering around at, we still had over 30 nautical miles, between 30 and 40 nautical miles left in the battery. Right guys, I hope that was of use to all of those of you who asked about the dinghy and the Torqeedo engine. As you've probably guessed by watching the film, we absolutely love both of them. The 3D dinghy, because it's so easy to get around the boat, lift it onto the roof, and it's absolutely fine for the both of us. In fact, I think it's a sort of 3 adult limit on that particular 3D dinghy, and of course the 2.5 metre fits perfectly on the roof there, as you saw. The Torqeedo, well, what can you say about that? Great bit of kit, perfectly good for what we need it for, in and out to the beach. You can even spend a few hours pottering about, fishing from it, whatever you might want to do, but really nice product, and we're very pleased with them. So we hope that insight into both those products was useful for you. If it was, of course, please do give us a like. We'd love you to subscribe if you haven't already to the channel. That will help us grow the channel and bring you more and more films, which of course any excuse to be out on the water, we will take that opportunity. So,
and if you want to source a Torqeedo, then we'd like to give a shout out to Daniel at BHG Marine in Lymington. He supplies them, so if you are looking, then we'd recommend that you give him a call.
Absolutely, and of course he also sells Jeanneau Merry Fisher 895s, 795s, 695s, and you name it. So many thanks indeed to all of you for watching the film. A like and subscribe please, and bye for now.
Bye.
Bye guys.